Hi everyone, it's me, Erica, again. I'm just doing a review on Ancestry.com's DNA test. I honestly don't know who the fuck I am when it comes to like nationality and whatnot, other than I'm American. So I'm a mutt of whatever. But both my parents are also adopted, so I have no fucking clue. What comes in here is that right there is your welcome. I already activated the kit online, and you have to go on there and put in, see all of the stuff. You're supposed to go on to the website ancestrydna.com, activate, put in the code that is on the tube, but it comes with the instructions. It comes with this little plastic baggie. And it comes with this, which is on the inside. You can see the sample tube. And then it also has a return box. So, all of them have the same barcode or whatever on it. I'm opening this for the first time. So the only thing I did was activate the actual 15-digit code on Ancestry.com in the website, like it said. So you're supposed to take this out and spit up to that black line. And it also says that you're not supposed to drink, eat, smoke, or chew gum for 30 minutes before you spit into this little jar. So I have been without smoking, without drinking, and trust me, I love my coffee, and I have a cup of coffee waiting for me to take a drink after I'm done with this. And then the next thing you do after you fill it with saliva is take this cap, screw it on top that has like an activator or a, what is this called? A stabilizing solution for your DNA. So it stabilizes it in its form, so when it gets transported, it's not going to disintegrate in any way. So, and I'm swallowing my spit when I should be spitting it into this cup. But it says you're supposed to put it into 1/4 of a teaspoon of saliva and do not overfill. So let me get started with some saliva. It just looks like a lot because it's a big ass tube. I think I have it, maybe just a little bit more just in case. That is rather disgusting, I'm just saying. And I'm sure it's because you get like little skin samples off the side of your mouth that goes into your spit. So anyways, now that you have your 1/4 teaspoon of spit, which I find it kind of disgusting. So it says replace the funnel, which is that thing, with the cap, which has the solution in it. And it says remove the funnel from the tube, screw on the enclosed cap tightly to release the solution that will stabilize the DNA in the saliva. Okay, so screw them on. Oh, there it goes. There it goes. Okay, so the blue liquid has released from the top. Then tighten to release. You'll know it works when the blue solution from the cap is emptied into the tube. Now shake the tube for at least 5 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5. Bam! This will ensure your sample mixes thoroughly with the stabilizing solution, so our lab can best process your sample. So, place the tube in the collection bag, which is this, and provided in your DNA kit. Seal the bag with the adhesive strip. Now, there's some stuff in here the thing, I guess, in case it cracks open, it's an absorbent. I work for a blood company, and we put absorbing pads in with our blood just in case any of them pop open, and it will absorb anything if it breaks open. So there's no hazardous chemicals or anything that gets released onto other people's mail. So after that, I just take this tape off, seal it on up. Bam, all sealed, and then put it in your fourth class package, which is this lovely box that they sent me. Alright, so in 6 to 8 weeks I should get my results, and then I'll finish up this video so that everybody can see the results with me. Okay, thanks. See you later. Bye. I just wanted to give a little bit of update. I got my Ancestry.com email a couple of days ago. I've been kind of sick. That's why I have the funky sound going on. But I wanted to read this to you because I thought it was hilarious. You could actually tell that they were talking to really stupid people. Now, I have this set up on my mystery box. I don't know if you saw that, but my phone's sitting up on there so I can read this off my computer. But I found this funny. As it starts off, and I will show you. Yeah. Right there, behind the scenes at the lab. I don't know if it's going to come up backwards or not, but I tried. But it says, behind the scenes at the lab, you spit and put your saliva in the mail. Within a few days, your sample will make it to the lab. Once it arrives, it begins a journey that will take your saliva through many steps before you see results online. 1. Your saliva sample has DNA in it, but that DNA isn't ready to read yet. It's stored inside immune and cheek cells. The first step of the lab is called extraction. You're like, seriously? Your sample is put into a plate in its own container with 95 other samples and then given to a series of robots that will take a small sample of your saliva and start processing it. So it's not done by hand, it's done by robots. Get comfortable with the other 95 samples. Get comfortable. They will be with you for the rest of your journey because you know these other 95 people that spit in a fucking tube and send it off to fucking Ancestry DNA. But whatever, I find this hilarious and it's very informative. So, I will give it to them on that. To extract the DNA, your saliva will be exposed to chemicals and spun at 10,000 RPM, and all kinds of cell parts and pieces will be removed. Next comes amplification. In this step, we make up to 1,000 copies of your DNA. If you're thinking that is a lot, you're right. This is done through a process called PCR. Well, at least they're giving us actual names. Polymerase chain reaction. Your sample is moved to a new robot that guides it through all kinds of chemicals, enzymes, and cycles of heating and cooling. Man, if my fucking science teacher talked like this, actually no, my science teacher did talk like this, and it was fucking awesome. I love you, Mr. Perry, if you're watching. But if maybe my English teacher talked like this to try to get my attention, I probably would have passed a lot better. I didn't really do well on English, but that's okay. I did really good on science and math, so I am all in this. Once we're done, we have a lot more of your DNA than we started with. Now we're ready to read it, which literally just tells me that you're copying my DNA, which is similar to cloning. I'm just throwing that out there. See, how do we actually read your DNA? We start by applying your DNA to an SMP, pronounced SNP, chip or microarray. This SMP chip, okay, so SNP chip, alright, has been designed to read 700,000 markers that will ultimately tell you your ethnicity, estimate, and which Ancestry DNA members you are related to. The chip contains manufactured DNA that will bind to your DNA. that we will then read. This technology is advancing and becoming better and better even as you read this. Reading the SNP chip is a complicated stage of the process that uses a lot of science and math. Well, bring it on, buddy. The technology is new. This technology is advancing and becoming better and better even as you read this. Reading the SNP chip is a complicated stage of the process that uses a lot of science and math. Another robot communicates the final results from the chip. We need to be able to read at least 98% of the SNPs that we test. Otherwise, we won't be able to give you any results. If we receive enough data back, the A, T, C, and G that make up your sections of your DNA turn into raw data file. Determine your ethnicity estimate. We take the data from 700,000 markers that we just analyzed at the lab and compare it to the population data from 26 different regions. So they have different ones that are marked out. There's Europe, there's Africa, there's the Asia Pacific, all of those. Says we run this comparison 40 times to get the best estimate of what regions your family genetically connects to based on current research. After running the comparison, we give you an ethnicity estimate. It is just that, an estimate. The estimate could change over time depending on what new research might reveal. The example below shows what a set of ethnicity results could look like. So it gives you a little chart, and it's like this person that they grabbed from, it looks like it says they're 38% Irish, 24% Scandinavian, 15% Great Britain, 13% Eastern European, 7% Iberian Peninsula, and 2% Italy and Greece, which means this is a really, really white boy or girl. I don't know which one, because it says less than 1% of Asia. So I'm pretty sure this is a really, really neon white person, because they're from the holy mother of white people area. Just, you know, Europe. Okay, your ethnicity results are unique to you. Getting back to reading. If you had additional family members tested, the results might look different. Apparently, and I don't talk to my sister, but apparently my sister is doing the exact same thing that I'm doing right now. So hopefully, maybe she can sit there and put in her 2 cents on a video or on her Facebook, and I can figure out what the fuck's going on. See, you received a random 50% of each of your parents' DNA because inheritance is random. A sibling typically won't inherit exactly the same DNA as you unless he or she is your identical twin. Which apparently they did a reveal on the Doctors, or whatever the fuck show that is. It's Dr. Phil's son or son-in-law's show, who he's a doctor, and they actually did his wife, who is an identical triplet. That's right. And all 3 of them are pregnant at the same time. But they also did this test, and apparently, this test or one of the other ones, there's like 3 different ones, and I think Ancestry ended up being the best of. They had the closest percentage, and one of them, they actually tested on identicals. So, and their numbers were kind of off. And I think that was the one, I can't remember which one that was, so don't quote me. And I know that just by watching those shows and seeing some of the reviews and shit, this is supposed to be the closest one. So, and since, you know, I have no fucking clue what I'm made out of, I'm hoping this tells me at least something. See how, and why my skin color. if I'm white or whatever, or if I'm supposed to be Italian and that's why I have olive skin or whatever the fuck, but that's what I was brought up. Anyways, next thing it says, how do we determine matching? Once your DNA is analyzed, we can compare it to everyone else in the database. We have more than 1 million samples in the database now, and we will continue to compare your genetic data to anyone else who take the Ancestry DNA test. Depending on how much DNA you share with any given person in the database, we estimate a possible relationship. This is how DNA can help you find cousins you never knew you had. And they give a diagram of your genetic data versus, all the other people's, and seeing how close the cousins. So you'll be able to contact and see tree data for your matches if you have a subscription and your match has a public tree linked to their DNA results. This is one of the perks of having a membership, and as you, of course, they're trying to sell a fucking membership. After you get your results, look for updates and check out our blog to stay tuned. Well, don't worry, I'm going to sit there and do my own blog. Well, vlog, whatever. So that was my little email. I thought it was, especially just how the tempo and some of the words that they use, I thought it was hilarious, and I just wanted to share. So anyways, if you guys sit there and get your DNA test, or you want to do a DNA test, this is the kind of stuff that you'll get in your email. Randomly, I get I've gotten a couple of them just sitting there and saying, you're at step this, you're at step this, you're at step this. When right now I'm currently at step 3 out of 4. So I should be getting them back sometime soon, and I'll get you an update then. So check me back in a second. Hey everyone, this is my third part of the video I was doing for my DNA, Ancestry.com DNA test. I've been getting some really interesting info from this website. So come to find out, one, I was always brought up Italian. The thing is that both of my parents were adopted. I was not adopted. I have pictures of myself, my sisters, everything with me in the hospital. So I know I came from my mom. Like, she was in the hospital bed, she had the she had the blanket, I'm there, my sisters are there, my dad's there, la da da da. So I know I come from them. My parents, on the other hand, have both been adopted. My father was brought up with first generation Italians and Sicilian. My grandma was born here, but her parents were born in Italy. My granddad, he was born here, and I believe his family came from Sicily. But they met here, and they got married and all that other stuff. They were born right around the turn of the century, so like 1905 to 1915. That's about where their age range is. They're both passed away. One passed away in the 90s when I was about 13 or 14 years old. That was when my grandpa died. And then my grandma died when I was about 31 years old. So she died in 2011. Lovely, lovely people, but we were brought up with an Italian heritage from them mainly. Then on my mom's side, on the other hand, we do know about what her last name was, so we could figure out, okay, so her last name was Kimberlin, so that is a very Irish name, so I know that I have some English Irish in me. I even got a tattoo of, it's a Celtic braid. It's all the way around my wrist, and it was to symbolize my family. Because I know we have at least a little bit of Irish in us. So coming to my results now, I have a little bit of backstory and the reason why I wanted to get this again. I know I mentioned a little bit in my original video where I'm spitting into the cup. So this has been about it's been at least 6 weeks, 7 weeks since I originally put that in. My I believe it was last week or the week before, I put together my this little info sheet that they had sent with in an email saying, hey, we have your sample. It's getting sent to the lab right now, and here's some info and how our lab works and how we extract your DNA, and then we compare it. Like, they give you all kinds of information, and then when you sit there and you actually get your results, you have this map that you can click on, and I'm going to sit there and try to put a picture of it somewhere here, and you get a map. And it splotches out where you're from. Like, okay, so mine strangely enough, I thought it was kind of fascinating, is 30% of me comes from Great Britain, and I absolutely love the UK. I love it. My boyfriend comes from the UK, his mom, all of his family. They're all English. I mean, he still has an aunt that lives over in England right now, and cousins and stuff like that. His brother still lives over in England. Um, I've always been really attached to England, like their music, their um, all of the history that's there. I mean, like the white people in general, our history comes from England, and it's very rich and it's very interesting and it's very, um, I've, it's like the best drama show ever put together. I'm telling you, there's comedy, there's excitement, there's, people having adulterous sex. I mean, it's the whole entire English history is just fascinating. And then you see a lot of them now, and they're kind of uptight, or just the way they speak, it kind of comes off as uppy. But I actually love every single one of my boyfriend's family, and it's because they will tell you how it is, like straight to your face. They don't really sugarcoat it much. They might put love on the end, or lovey or something like that, even just to soften the blow. But they're they're pretty tactful though. That's what it is. They're politely, what is it always called? They're polite. They're mean, but they're polite about being mean. So it's great. But the other part was they got 17% is from Ireland, so pretty much sticking on the two islands there. And then the next one, which is the one that was fascinating to me, was the Iberian Peninsula. And I had actually looked that up because I never knew it to be explained as the Iberian Peninsula, which is the little peninsula that sticks out that has Spain and Portugal. It's right there. So there's a large chunk that comes from there, and it's also a little bit, I guess, part of it hanging off is France. So you got France, Spain, and Portugal mixed in there. So I'm guessing that's where my color comes from. But also, my color comes from Africa. I had a feeling I had a little bit of brown in me. And this, it actually breaks it down into different regions in Africa, because I know there's a lot of tribes in Africa. They're very distinct, and you can just tell either by their look. I know there's one guy I met while I was working at a plasma center. He was dark, dark, dark black, dark, dark, dark. I mean, you would not be able to see him in a dark room if he had his eyes and his mouth closed. He's that dark. Like not trying to be offensive, but I'm trying to convey how dark this boy was. And he had these stunningly bright blue crystal eyes that just fucking stunned me. So I mean, there's only like one or two tribes in Africa that actually has that gene. So I mean, these are a little bit. I mean, I can see where it's different parts, but like they actually have it separated out of like I've Togo, Senegal, Mali, Nigeria, Ivory Coast, and Ghana, and Cameroon, Congo. So there's like different spots. I mean, it says it's only like 10%. So that's why I say I'm white with a little bit of brown in me. I've always said that. I just didn't know what level. Okay, so that's why I get really tan in the summer. Just saying. So that is that. I'm gonna try to sit there and post pictures mixed in with this. But yes, I apparently from the UK, which I can understand from my mom's side because her last name was Kimberlin, and then now on the other side with my dad, I'm guessing, because he's the one where I get all my brown from, really. My mom is neon white. Like, she's got blonde hair, hazel, like, bluish green eyes, and fucking white. She's pasty white. So, all my brown, I know, comes from my dad. And I mean, if you sit there and you look at his pictures, you can tell he's got some brown in him. So, anyways, that's my update. Click like if you thought this was interesting. Subscribe if you like all of my other stuff that I've been doing. And there's just my life update. I found out that I'm 10% African. A lot of Spanish and Spanish and Portuguese. It's a lot of bit of English. So awesome. Thanks. Bye.